Welcome to the world of tomorrow.
3, 2. Welcome.
All right, giggity, giggity. Welcome to Chilling with Sasquatch. There's a link over there. There's a poll over there. There's some lightning over here, and I'm still surviving. How are we doing? Y'all make it through New Year's? I did. Turns out, on the New Year's stream, there was an argument between Hank Hill and Alex Jones, and that's all I'll say about that. Gosh. What's up, Danny? Good to see you, bud. We're going to run right through chat right quick because apparently M's Mad World is getting the gold tonight, and she is correct. M gets the gold. Yin Yang News gets the silver, and Veterans Affairs gets the bronze. Welcome to the chat. Good to see y'all. Welcome in, Bootsy. We got Oklahoma Outlaw Audits. We got Orb Puff in the chat. Good to see you, girl. Welcome in. Tiffany's Epiphany is in the chat. Wandering Hippie has joined the set. And we got Danny Staten in chat. And I think I'm saying that right finally. Spent the past year trying to get it right. All right, let's change that up. Let's get rid of this. We're going to make this one. That one? No. No. Aha, that one. We're going to do that one. And I have a couple of videos that I've selected, of course, which is typically the way it works. Just the way we try to make it work anyway. You know, that's the general premise of a reaction stream, which I guess this is what this has become. What's up, Joe Pat? Good to see you, bud. Welcome back. I got this kind of thing going on, and I'm going to try to make it work right. My computer has been glitching out all day long, so we will see whether or not it actually starts working proper. All right, Barbie, listen up. You know I love you, right? But if you start abusing the shit out of your mic, I'm just going to mute you. And you can unmute yourself when you want to say something, okay? All right. You got your shirt on right? You got your gills primped? Have you got any webbed toes? All right. Well, anyway,
that's negative on that.
Good to see you. Welcome to chat. All right. So, of course, I have to start with my favorite big spoon, Joe Cool.
Love that dude.
Yeah, he took a trip to Colorado with some buds, and they had a bit of an issue at one of the courthouses they went to. And I don't think it was actually the courthouse. I think there is a court in it. I think it's like the city hall or something like that. But there's actually a type of courthouse in it. And so the judges are trying to say anyone who steps on the property is subject to the judicial order, whereas, as I understand it, those judicial orders only stand inside a courtroom. Wow. The second you step out of a courtroom, other than being under the auspices of the state, you are out from under the auspices of the judge, if I'm not mistaken. Web toes? Yeah, no. If you have web toes, I definitely need to know about it. Do you have web toes? Magnificent.
Are you recording in the building?
There's one on the door right there.
Recording in the building. Can you call the sheriff's department so they can?
Yes, call the sheriff's.
I get so that. You have no jurisdiction here?
No, well, you know, that's right. There's no way.
I'll put you on the spot. Will you arrest me if I go in here and film?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
If I get told by a judge.
Yeah.
Gregory, TikTok.
All right, let's see if the judge tells you.
Gregory, I talk to the camera.
Excuse me.
All right, bud. They got guns, man.
Right. Work with me here, dude. I'm trying, okay? You got one that can see.
I've got one that can see.
You got one of the greatest
Colorado.
intros
Making a date with a couple of buddies. You peeps and good citizen media. Sheriff's office, courthouse, and the DA's office are on our list of stops. Also got to meet the cat on the business end of this.
You also got to remember that you got to say it properly or it don't count. It's Joe Cool.
Pistol in one of my shorts.
Look what he's doing. Look what he's doing.
Don't come a second closer. I'll shoot you dead, boy.
Fucking do what?
Get in the motherfucker.
Do what, you silly
14
old
in the face.
stupid bastard. Go ahead.
14 in the face.
Go ahead, shoot me.
I'm in Colorado a lot. When good citizen media, you people and myself aren't socializing or taking in the beautiful
like
sights,
horses.
we're
That's
holding
pretty
public
horsey.
officials accountable in surrounding counties. And it's an exercise in contradiction. It's like being on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah. It is, Mr. Joku. So Mr. Joku's gonna go in and have some business.
That's it. That's how you say it right there. That's right.
We're gonna wait outside to see what the verdict is.
I chase logic. Fuck what anyone says. People have agendas, their own motivation, and people lie. For what reason can I not make a public record of me getting a public record in public, but somehow my mans can film the entire interaction from the sidewalk through floor to ceiling glass? That's government transparency for you.
I need to request some records today.
Let me go back over what he just said so that everybody's clear. This is for the folks back there in the back. He cannot walk in and film the lobby of this quote unquote courthouse, which is also City Hall and the police department, several other city functionaries. But he can stand right outside on the sidewalk through the floor to ceiling glass and film probably about the same amount of stuff as you can on the inside. What seems to be really the concern to me, or at least to these people, would be the audio recordings. I don't think they're so worried about they're so worried about the video. If you can stand outside and film the entire lobby, fine. But the lobby is also public. You should be able to walk in and film it too. Is it the way what is it? Poster 12 says, poster 17, poster 12. Anyway,
I think
poster
it is the audio they're concerned about.
It's one of them. But they say all public areas and hallways and lobbies is the way it's phrased. Public areas, hallways, and lobbies, which means if there is a reason for a member of public to walk down a hallway, if it's nothing but a fucking poster on the wall, that's public information, and that is part of the public access. That is a hallway that has public information. If you've got a brochure thing on a door on your front of your door, and you're down a hallway, and you expect the public to pick one up on their way by, you have made that public access, and that was not the public's fault. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm sure chat will correct me, and the comments will go absolutely apeshit. It'll be great.
I would be lucky, but hopefully they can.
This is a follow-up visit to that same courthouse a year or so later.
I'm well, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Do you have any problem with filming in here?
I don't think so.
All
I
right.
think only in the courtroom.
All right. Well, listen, you just cut my trip short.
Okay.
I was told you didn't allow filming in the public places. I came to request that document. What's your name?
Leslie.
Leslie. Great job. You did very good today.
Let's keep this in context. Like when the police ID upon request or don't push you when you're just out there filming, you want to congratulate the guy, but he's just doing his job.
I heard somebody got shot in the head, the ass, all sorts of shit.
You feel you good, Joku?
Of course we are. Stop it.
My boy, Joku.
But I don't think I need permission to film my own shit.
I knew.
I think you're right. As far as I know, that's correct.
Is that correct?
Very nice to meet you.
Okay,
Listen,
very
I
nice.
just came from the back of this building, Sheriff's Department.
Yes.
I was treated horribly. If you're afraid like that, you might need a new job.
Ain't nothing about being afraid.
It is. You're talking
I'm afraid of
officer safety.
No, yeah.
Are you afraid to
I'm
give
talking
me a
about-
list of who's here today?
Yeah,
I would like to know who's bullying
afraid
me
of it.
around.
No.
You're not the sheriff. You're a different human, yeah?
I'm a deputy.
When you got a second for the public deputy, can I ask you a question? You don't know what I'm finna ask you, bro. Hey, what's your badge number, man? Right, I had a bad impression of your county.
Oh,
But
no.
coming here, this dude was courteous. He even cracked a joke.
Good.
You're courteous.
Good.
It helps. It goes a long way,
It
man.
does.
Same courthouse about a week ago. I was told I could film it.
One of my favorite things about Joe Cool auditing is he is sweet as saccharine all the way up until you take one tiny little step over that line to making a demand on his time, giving an order, talking down to him, being patronizing,
wrong.
and stuff. And suddenly he turns 0 to 1,000% suddenly. Bam.
That's one.
Just 100%. He'll start screaming right in your face. Be nice. Be nice, motherfucker. You don't got to be mean. You don't got to be a tyrant. You can be nice. Be nice. And common courtesy, man, professionalism is all I ask for. A little, well, I would like total transparency. I'm not a big fan of undercover cops. I think that's dirty business. I don't like the black wrappers, those ghost cars you see where it's a black on black finish with the black police thing, and they say that it's marked. That's not a marked car.
That's not marked.
That is a camouflage.
If I can't see what you are, if you city police, if you're county police, if you're the sheriff's, if I can't see that readily available for me to read on the side of your fucking car, that is not marked. Period. I don't want to hear that bullshit.
Personally, I think the light should be visible on top and shouldn't be tucked away on the inside. Let me be completely clear. For you officers in the crowd that think you're fooling the citizens, your fucking car looks like it's in contact with the mothership, dude. It has 143 antennas sticking off the fucking top of it. And you think you have somebody somewhere on earth fooled? Possibly in the deep, darkest corners of South Africa, but not on your average American highway who sees your Dodge Charger in the rearview mirror with 17 satellite dishes sticking off the top of it, and we slow the fuck down.
On the way home today, I see an unmarked parked right beside the county that's very visibly marked white with all the decals, and this one over here right to the side of him is blacked the fuck out. No light. I'm like, no, that ain't obvious as hell. Like, what is going on?
I don't know if
You're
they think they're
relevant.
I don't think so. I don't guess they do. I think they do it just because, and quite literally, it looks cool. They're like, oh, it just looks so cool. We're just going to give it.
But it don't. It don't look cool because we know you're a cop. It looks cool when you're gangster, not when you're a cop.
Okay, all right. Well, let me tell you how gangster that shit is. I know somebody with a cop model, cop built, cop made cop car, but instead of having a badge on the side of it, it's got what does it say? I can't remember. It looks like a badge, but it says street something on the side of it, right? I can't remember what the fucking thing says, but it's got like a phone number and it's got like a little, email and all that stuff down the sides of it. But for all the world, you see that thing, it looks like a cop car. You know it's a cop car, and then it blows by you at 110, and it's full smoked out too.
But you know what I noticed? I don't see those kind of cars. No matter what color the Charger is, I seldom see a Charger pulled over on the side of the road.
Why
I
would
don't
you?
think I've ever seen anybody. Tell me I'm not going to go out and get a Charger. Next vehicle I buy, it's going to be a Charger.
If I was a dealer, I would drive a Charger. That's exactly what I would.
I did so. I was given a
couple
of order on my way out, which I should have read.
How are you, man? Good, brilliant. I'm gonna try with the
Joku.
What's up, Cliff? Welcome in, buddy.
Shit.
He's trolling me, bro.
You're gonna have to take that, bro. Now you're a cop watcher. Now you're a cop watcher, bro. Gang mob.
It's probably the gun, bro.
You hear what he said? It's probably the gun,
It's probably
bro.
the gun, bro.
It's probably the gun, bro. Probably the gun.
No, maybe. I thought they were just
Stick one book.
Do a cavity search, bro.
This is why I won't go freaking cop watching with people. I'm not going to go auditing with freaking people. They're going to get me locked up.
But if you can sit in the courtroom, it should be legal to film it, especially my own shit. But we're on the other side of the building. I ain't even seen a courtroom.
And there's a printer here and everything. right? Tells you all about jury, probation, all your courts, court of appeals. I mean, your press releases, right? All that shit.
Everything all of the time.
So I go to tell the one person I've seen that I'm impressed and they're doing a good job.
Talk about most improved. You guys got a room access like you're actually inviting the public now. Good shit, good information. You know, I hope I played a part in the turnaround. All right, so no bonus. Oh, she's over here. I got a copy now, though.
Yeah,
Let me just say she was really nice at that.
It's that same lady she was, huh?
How you doing?
You're not allowed to be.
Oh, you're not the same lady. I was about to tell the lady how nice she was last time I was here. It must not have been you.
You're not allowed to be recording in the building. There's a
They just gave me a court order said I could.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm a naughty, naughty boy, but I just heard her in my head saying that line right there. And the only response I have is I got some strong swimmers for you.
When I was reading that earlier, I was like, I'm just not going to comment on that.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. So sorry.
Did you say, ayo?
Can I have your name now since you give me information?
I guess not. They closed the clerk office down on Joe.
Oh, Joe.
I'm sure that's racist somehow.
See, try to be nice, man, and see what happens.
I see why there is confusion with this order. It's 3 pages long and opens with all devices can be used in public areas and must be on silent in courtrooms. Sounds logical to me. Then it says, if you use said item to record, the court will seize it and go through it without the owner's consent or a search warrant. Then there was a caveat for press. I'm suddenly qualified to film a hallway in a lobby because I'm a journalist. It's to provide a facade of constitutionality. It's really about control over my shit.
Joe Black said that's transparency for you.
I know, right?
The rule, Luke says. It's a rule.
It's obviously a blatant information grab by the state to take your personal device and your personal information that you have personally collected in your own personal time so that they can either erase, eradicate, or alter it in any way they see fit before they return it to you, assuming they return it to you, because also while they have your device, naturally they'll just check and see if there happens to be any old other little thing in there that might be controversial or possibly felonious or dare say secret. Is it secret? Is it safe? I don't think so. Anybody else have problems falling asleep to the Fellowship of the Ring? I can't tell you how many times I passed out before that Elvin bitch stopped talking at the beginning. I'm dead serious. I'd put that thing in, she'd start being, is this sweet? I ain't even joking. It was better than the Valium.
Oh my God.
I gave it to this gentleman.
Okay.
There's one on the door.
Sorry, you cannot be recording in the building.
There's one on the door right
Cannot be
there.
recording in the building. Can you call the sheriff's department so they can?
Yes,
state the
call the
state
sheriff's.
order?
There's one on the door. We'll educate you.
There's also one right here.
Where? Can you read it?
Well, according to this court order, once you have filmed something inside the building on the property, as it's put, if I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong on exactly the location of the line, but once you film something inside the building, they can compel your password, and if you don't give it, they just get a search warrant to crack it. You do better, and this is going to sound kind of fucked up, but you might do better getting shit back by giving them the password once they've got the warrant. The thing is typically when they get the warrant, they don't need your password anymore, and they do whatever damage it takes to do to get in and crack it and do that stupidity. Is that because I'm talking or because I'm boring? I'm a little bit perturbed by that statement. It's like, is it that bad? I mean, we could go to like flashier stuff here. This is flashy. Check this out. Or you want me to jingle some keys in front of you? I don't have any keys. Damn. Hold up. Nope. Hey, I got some white chocolate. Want some white chocolate? What do you want? I don't know. I don't get it. A little bit of everything all of the time.
Ma'am, you got 2 seconds to help us understand.
Can you read it for us? I tell you what, who says I can read it? I'm literally, I live in my mom's basement.
Now you're joking. I see.
Hey, bro, I think my interpretation is wrong. I think it reads that you cannot film it.
Well, hold on, because I want to look
That's
at the
just
other
my
one.
interpretation.
Here.
So I'm gonna step out.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
When's it signed by who?
Claude W. Appeal.
Right.
Or Appel.
He ain't even a judge anymore, is
That's
he?
the same out-of-date retired judge.
Yeah.
He's retired,
Here,
bro.
I'm telling you.
Turns out Judge Appel has been retired for years. Gonna be tough asking him why the no filming order.
That was fast.
All right. So let me explain further now that we have more information. This is a judge's order signed by a judge that retired, I think, 4 years ago, that they are trying to enforce. The order only pertains to the courtrooms and only pertains to court events. And if I'm not mistaken, that specific order applied to a certain group of cases because they were especially high profile. And so they, if I'm not mistaken, they closed the building for those few cases that happened, and the public wasn't allowed in there, but there was like court TV was up in there and stuff. So, you know, there was still a public access venue. It just wasn't that you could walk in. And I think that's a leftover thing from that. This whole question that Joe's going through right now about whether or not he can film in hallways and lobbies and whatnot. I think that the judge's order should have sunsetted after the cases in question, and had it not sunsetted then, should definitely have sunsetted when he retired multiple years ago. Don't know. Somebody in chat, let me know. Is that how that works? How does that work? Does a judge's order simply stand? You know, and
I think it probably differs from state to state. I feel like, first of all, if the judge is retired, fuck what the fuck he says. That should not matter anymore, especially if it's not inside his courtroom currently. Like, you're retired, sir. Shut up. Sit down and shut all the way up.
you know, for about 2 centuries, there was a guard standing on a patch of grass at the Windsor Castle. No one could remember why the guard was there. He just stood attention at a spot. Some researchers stumbled across a bit of ancient, old, very, very old medieval, pre-medieval paperwork that stated that the guard had been placed there to protect a rose that had been planted by a particular person. A general had ordered a guard the rose because it had been broken one night by someone. And so he placed a guard to guard the rose. Here we are 300 years later. There's no longer a building there. It's just a hedge. But there is a guard who stands watch over this patch of grass because there is a standing order from a general to do so, and for no other reason. It's used as a shit detail, like to punish people. They stick them over there on that patch of grass, and if you fall asleep, you got to do it again. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Damn. I didn't know that.
That's kind of what this feels like to me, is some archaic ancient bullshit that's left over stuck on the bottom of somebody's shoe. It's kind of fucked up.
How are you?
What's going on, guys?
Oh, I don't know. They called.
Yeah, they called.
So they're trying to tell us we can't film in the public areas there. obviously we can't film in a courtroom. That's media request, man.
We didn't go
Everything
anywhere near the
else-
courtrooms either.
Lobby,
FOIA, corridors are all publicly
so
accessible.
who told you that you couldn't?
The clerk freaked the fuck out, dude. The sheriff in here is doing excellent, right? He's doing the best he can. He had to call you guys because she freaked the fuck out. And so it's just a great chance for education. That's all. We're not hurting anything. We're not disturbing anybody. We haven't even, nobody's been in or out. We haven't even recorded another body aside from ourselves.
Yeah.
So,
What's
I
your
was showing
guys'
him the
take on
self-help
that,
center.
man? They got public stuff in there. We went to the public, said, dude, let us film the security guard.
Well, let me tell you, this
Yeah.
this is not my domain.
Very good.
However, my feeling is it's a public building.
All devices can be used, but then it says except to capture images, blah, blah, blah.
It contradicts itself a little bit there, especially when all of.
Okay. So if this is a public building, then we can film all public areas, correct? But
Yeah,
he's
that's
fixing
how I feel.
this old judge's writ a little more. Which I mean may very well still apply inside the courtroom. That's possible. But I don't know though. I don't know.
Of those places that they list are in the public area.
Some new judge has to take that order up and sign
Like I
it.
said, this isn't my building.
They're sitting there running around.
This is my building. I'm inviting you in.
All over that stuff.
I get
So
that.
you have no jurisdiction here?
No, well, you know,
That's
I
there's no way.
I'll
A
put you on the
judge-
spot.
a
Will you
judge
will you
rules the
arrest me if I
courtroom.
go in here and film?
if,
I'm
if I
curious.
get told by a judge,
Yeah. All right, let's see if the judge tells you.
And that's why I love Joe Cool, folks. Right there. Right there. Motherfucker said, and I quote, if a judge tells you to arrest
Let's
me,
see what the judge
you
says.
arrest me. If a judge tells me to arrest you, I will have to arrest you. Well, let's go see what the judge tells you. He walks in there filming. What are you going to do about it, bud? Hot seat time. Let's find out where it goes.
Shit. It's just, we got to fix this problem because, like I say, it's cost me money already because I couldn't record that incident. So,
All right, bud.
hey, they got guns. Man.
My sticking point is that judge is retired.
That's not a real thing, though. The judge can't make a law and just retire. This was years ago.
Right, it has to be replaced with some signature from a standing judge.
That judge could have instituted that policy for COVID reasons. And you guys haven't readjusted? You think it just lasts forever?
Right.
All buildings like this, lobbies, hallways, foyers, it's legal, right? It would take something special for you to cut off this area.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's not just the clerk. This says the entire building, hallway,
Yes, it does. How crazy is that, man?
everywhere.
It does. Insane, yeah?
Maybe it's a private building, that's cool, let me know, and we'll let everybody know that this is a private building, that it's not open to the public.
By the way, that is for the public, that room. I was just telling him how great it is. They're so inviting to the public. Unless you show someone else. It makes no freaking sense.
So let's do this. Let's go
Yeah.
outside.
Can I get my copy?
And then what I'm going to do is I will get a hold of, get a hold of that judge.
No, get over that judge.
I got to go to the chief judge.
Oh, you don't want to get over the one that signed it? See my point?
All right. So, according to these people so far, it would take a current judge to rescind a previous judge's order. And I'm almost positive that's not how that works.
No?
Well, it can't be because the judge's order in this situation directly violates the First Amendment in every possible capacity. The inclusion of press to be able to enter is simply a smokescreen to try to keep the average citizen from walking in with a camera because there's no such thing as press in the United States. If you pick up a camera and you show something of public interest, congratulations, you've joined the press corps. Good job. In fact, I've got a ticket for that. Let me show you. It's like this. Here we go. The legacy media is a shambling husk of its former glory, the walking dead giving stale information on fetid breath of a dying medium. Might have gone a little deep on that one. Help Sasquatch see them out on the ear if possible. And I'll leave my fucking email address. It's also pretty funny source for like troll memes and stuff. Just say it. I got more treasure troll pictures than you could possibly imagine.
See my point? This is ridiculous.
But
bro.
let's
fix it.
Let me put it this way.
Because I think you agree with us.
But I do. I don't disagree with you. But your argument also makes it sound like if that judge put somebody in prison and that judge retires,
That's a sentence.
You understand that's on one guy who accepted to have his rights violated when he did a crime. You can't do this to the public at large. You can't really compare apples to oranges here.
I'm just saying
He's trying to compare sardines to octopi, freaking okras to oranges. This is in no way a related contingent here. This is nothing. There's nothing there. It's ridiculous. The judge had the right. Yeah, sure. If there's like really big windows in the courtroom, the judge has a right to order them closed. If it's a particularly high profile or controversial case, they have the right to close the courtroom to public temporarily, But if a judge left an order that the public can't enter a courtroom and then died overnight, does that mean that until another judge comes in and changes that order, we can't even have court anymore? I don't think that's accurate.
That's a good question.
That's the basis of where I'm going to call. I'm going to get a clarification. That's all.
I will appreciate it. And going through those steps, I appreciate it, right? Who does that? I appreciate it.
I was being sincere here. Rather than lock me up and take my camera as that paper in his hand suggests, he's going to contact the chief judge. I appreciate it.
I'll go back over there. It may take till after 1 because I don't know.
That's great. We wasn't leaving any fucking way. We're going to be around.
We hit a couple more places and went and got something to eat to get the officer time to contact the judge.
I still see the same no recording signs around this building, so.
What's up, old guy?
He says you don't see him on my door. I got a fist bump you for that one. Oh, that was nice.
And this part's crazy. I made a short from a vid my friend sent me, and I got to meet the guy on the business end of this pistol.
You want to pull it out?
Come a step closer and see.
Come a step closer.
Come on, bitch. You ain't got the boss.
Oh,
Come on, bitch. You ain't got the boss.
Oh, Mr. Badass with a gun calling me out?
Guy's name is Keno, looks nothing like his voice, and his neighbor has cameras and a fake dummy wearing a hat with binoculars permanently pointed.
This is quality trolling, people. She's got a sign that says neighborhood watch, we are watching, and then has the blind set up and a hat propped up on some binoculars staring straight at his house. If it was me, I'd have a camera right behind it just for shits and giggles, because that I don't know. I don't know. You can't tell from here. It's just for all the world. It's just. I would assume that there is. I wouldn't bother going through that much unless I was going to put a camera there, or maybe there's a Ring doorbell or something real close by.
You need to show Jeff.
I don't know, but this is top level trollery. This is the real deal. This is not amateur tower. Amateur hour. We're doing legitimate, honest to God trolling here.
At his house. Then we headed over to the sheriff's department to get our answer.
All right. You get a hold of Judge Appel yet?
Wait a second. Did you spell that right? Is it Good Citizen Media or Hood Citizen Media? Because I feel like that might be a very different channel. Do we let's see, talked about the same sheriff. So what, we probably got film of the tail end of that? What you reckon?
Against who? Or
Good. Well, I'm assuming it's Good Citizen Media, since that's kind of who we're talking about currently. And that Hood Citizen Media might be a very different channel. All right, bud.
No, not a pal. I spoke with Judge
Right?
McChrystal.
That sounds dangerous as fuck, bitch. Can you imagine walking up to gangbangers on the corner in Compton? Excuse me, sir. Do you mind if I film in public? The fuck you doing here? You think this America or some shit? Give me your damn phone. Break yourself. What you got on my 40?
That he is going to uphold that order.
Bet he would.
Yeah.
I bet he would.
So I asked that if that's what they're going to impose, that they put, some sort of signage so, everybody's on the same page. So what has to happen is then I submit the information to the courts, and it's then up to the judge to decide if they want to proceed with a
When you say
violation.
submit that information to the courts, are you saying you're gonna get my information somehow? What information?
Yes, sir.
My ID.
I shall ID
only get
you,
my
for
ID,
it is the greatest
to
form
arrest.
of crack.
So if I go in there, you're gonna arrest me?
Well, I don't know.
You know what's fucked up is, even if you did disagree, like you say, spirit of the law, letter of the law, once you think the spirit of the law, like in this case, is wrong, when someone tells you, you got to do it.
I'm going to say this again. I've said this before on a live stream, and I don't have anything in particular against tattoos. Let me be clear. I have a tattoo, only one. Anyway, yeah, no. Why does this man have a full sleeve on his arm? Don't they usually wear a cover just to keep it from being ID'd or whatever?
It depends on the department, but it's hot. That's why. That's why he's got a whole ass sleeve, because it's fucking hot. That's why.
So I take it you are attracted to this gentleman. Buckle bunny? You regular
The
badge
beard,
buddy?
everything. I'm loving all that.
You
But I don't
can't
like
wait
hot,
to get
so
you on your neck. A little bit of nightstick action. Some handcuffs. And Perrier.
handcuffs maybe.
You gotta do it.
My thing is how are you supposed to document?
Freaking, what's up, bud?
like today?
Yeah, they got to
You
get that
have
ID. It's
the
like
clerk
crap.
come out, all huffy puffy,
They can't handle it.
Stomping her
You got to
feet,
get another
throwing a
fix.
fit over the cameras, and all he wanted to do was like
Congratulate the lady that was there last time.
accommodations from the last time, right? But she threw a big old fit. Now, if we didn't have our cameras, it's
Her
a
word
hearsay,
against ours, yeah.
right? And really, if it was between us and her in the court, who do you really think the court's gonna believe?
Let me tell you, that's not necessarily true, because all of everything inside that building is recorded.
Well, see, there's another issue.
Right, that's
I feel like that is a byproduct of the police infrastructure taking more and more people directly from armed services into law enforcement. And that has I believe, intentional byproduct of militarizing the police without any expenditure of extra money.
Bingo.
But what do I know? I'm just a fuzzy guy in the swamp looking at YouTube.
Officer Lesser here is doing everything he can not to arrest us and follow an order he disagrees with. That should be rewarded. So we stop pushing him.
Hey, Leslie, you've been fucking gave us a ton of your time, man.
All right, well, you guys have a good one. Be safe.
Now we got our return visit planned in a couple of weeks, but I hope you guys even see this one, because my phone hasn't let me upload a long form video in months. We'll catch you cats in the comments.
I keep telling him he needs to update his freaking phone plan, but he don't listen to me. He just goes to Walmart and gets him another one, same little $20 phone. I don't know. I'm just fucking with you. I have no idea. I don't talk to him that
Okay,
often.
I have 4 phones. I have 4 phones. And right now, I'm still struggling with space. I don't even want to talk about it. Just let's not go there.
I'm slowly waiting for my computer to stop.
Don't
Yeah,
jinx
bud.
yourself.
John P. Well, no, my whole screen went black there for a minute, and I just kind of
Just winging it.
Yeah, let's see what happens now. You know, like I'm just as excited as everyone else about this show because I have no idea what's next either. All right, actually, I do because I scheduled it. But listen, here's the way this is going to work. You're familiar with the story about the Michael was McCandless. Was that his name? The McCandless guy who went out and ended up starving to death in the Alaskan wilderness. Ezra McCandless, is that right?
Mm,
Oh, Ezra was the
no,
chick.
Ezra McCandless was the killer.
Right,
And the
right,
guy
right.
that went out I saw that movie though.
Right. Into the Wild is the name of it. And
Yes.
this is the
Yes.
out of the wild part. There was a second individual, another individual with a very similar tale who did a very similar thing. He's sitting around on a random Tuesday, decides that there hasn't been enough stupid shit going on in the world, so he packs up to go out and do some stupid shit, and it killed him. Let's find out.
The Alaskan interior is one of the most deadly places in the world. Unpredictable weather, dangerous wild animals, and extreme remoteness makes it an incredibly difficult place to survive. And I'm sure that nobody understood this better than survival expert Thomas Seibold. And with that said, perhaps the danger and challenges of Alaska were what drew him to it in the first place. Unfortunately, we'll never know the answer to that question because in the late fall of 2012, Seibold left his cabin and trekked directly into the Alaskan wilderness, only to never be seen again, dead or alive. After
Not the bear guy. No, that is another story.
that's
I think
well.
before, but there was a guy who built a bear suit. He decided it would be possible to build a suit that could survive an attack from a grizzly bear. Turns out he was wrong, and it just ripped him apart. I mean, it did exactly what bears do. Pretty much the same thing they always do when they want to get to the crunchy nougat at your center. The whole bouncing on the chest thing.
Right.
Yeah, good. That's an 800-pound, that's a 1,500-pound bear, bro. That thing eats fucking bison. Boingy,
I
boingy.
literally make my heart just go as slow as possible, or it probably stops when I see the bears going through the yard.
No,
I get that scared. I don't move.
No, man. I swear to God, I will die with my arm as far down that bear's throat with no bullets left in my gun and a knife stuck in its nose. That will be the final moments of Sasquatch as he goes down the bear's throat. Because I learned something dealing with really, really, really big bulldogs, and this might save you and it might get your face bit off. I am not a professional. I just have a whole dog might have been my first language.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with an aggressive dog, immediately off the jump, immediately you have to make a decision. Are you going to face this dog, or are you going to leave this dog? If you're going to leave the dog, do so calmly and without expressing fear.
Right.
Don't run.
Right.
If you're going to face the dog, which you may have to do either way, if it comes to a bite, when the dog tries to bite you, climb as far down his throat as you can with the largest weapon you can get your hands on it. Even if it's your freaking shoe, just stuff it down his throat. I want you to imagine you walked into a restaurant and sitting on the table right there in front of you was this beautiful chocolate cake, and it's sitting there just so delicious, and you can smell it and it's amazing. And just as you pick up the knife to get a slice of it, the whole freaking thing crawls down your throat, making you gag. You're gonna double think eating that chocolate cake, ain't you?
Yeah.
Works on dogs too. I suspect it will work on a bear if you can get far enough down his mouth. That's the trick. You've got to keep your arm on until he barfs
Weird.
it.
The mother did not even acknowledge me. Like there was something that she was on the move to get. The two cubs that were with her, they both stopped and looked at me and then looked at her like, did she not see this chick right here? Like, let's get this bitch. And I'm thinking, no, I didn't. I weighed way less then too. I was like, no, you definitely don't want me. I'm not.
Totally no good with ketchup. I've only encountered a bear twice. I've only encountered a bear twice.
Well.
Once I was actually walking down this old log road. They clear cut the place a couple of weeks before. So there's like not even a grass blade that's sticking up. You know, you can see a quarter mile or so. And I'm walking along and I look up and there's something black over there, but it doesn't register as a bear at first, right? I didn't even wonder what it was. I thought maybe a shadow or something. It just did not consciously register.
Doesn't occur. Yeah.
And it was gone. When I noticed it wasn't there anymore, the hair on the back of my neck stood up and my self-defense mechanism started kicking in. I started walking a little bit further out into that open space and not quite so close up against the woods over here. It wasn't a conscious decision. It was just like, hey, where'd that fuzzy thing go? Wait, fuzzy thing? How far away was that thing? How big was that thing? Well, it was about 7 foot tall. It was a pretty big black bear, but not ginormous. And it was early spring, so he was all scrawny as hell. Looked like a skeleton. Right. What just happened? Let's do it right.
After his disappearance, questions began to emerge. Where was Seibold headed when he left his cabin? How did such a competent and experienced survivalist just vanish? And given all of his experience, should Seibold have known better than to do what he did in the first place? I'll attempt to answer these questions and many more in this video, but the truth is that most of the questions surrounding this story will probably go unanswered forever. And you're going to understand why by the end of this video.
All right. So anytime you do anything in Alaska, there's a good 45% chance that nobody will ever fucking find out about it because you died trying to do it. Alaska is just wrong. It doesn't matter where you're at in Alaska. You can be in downtown Anchorage and freeze to fucking death. So you've got to take that type of shit into account. So if your ass is out there in the wilderness on the trail or doing some overlanding type crap and you turn a freaking ankle, you can be 50 feet from your fucking trailer and starve to death because you can't crawl that far. You could die of thirst in 2 days because you can't reach the tap on the outside. I mean, these things happen to people. A freaking snake, right?
Crab fishing, you go in the water, you're dead in less than a minute if they don't get you out. You're dead.
Right? A seizure. Have a seizure at the wrong moment. Just merely slip and bump your head and you're a missing 411. Like the show we did last week about the guy who fell in the well. Homie was just out for a walk, bro. He set up his whole camp, took a walk around the camp, and nobody ever saw him again. And if the searcher hadn't almost lost a dog in that hole, they never would have found it. And he would still be on that list.
This is the baffling disappearance of Thomas Seibold from Gates of the Arctic National Park. Now, I need to give a disclaimer before we get into this story. And this is a disclaimer that I almost never have to give in these videos. I found a number of inconsistencies in the reporting on this story during my research. As far as I can tell, none of them are hugely important to the meat of the story, but they're still concerning enough that I wanted to tell you about this before we begin. I don't know, just make sure that you take a lot of the events in this story with a grain of salt. But with that said, I still think this is an intriguing and important story to tell. And I wouldn't...
Ain't it almost always the priest, though? I mean... I assume priests are guilty of something. Otherwise, they wouldn't be trying to atone.
Be able to tell it to you without the support of Drink Element. That's right. They are the sponsor of this video. Now, some of us tend to hibernate during the winter, but I also know that a lot of you are not going to be slowing down. So this winter, if you're going to be hiking, skiing, running, or even just shoveling snow or doing anything that makes you sweat, I'm talking to you right now. When
Me?
you sweat, you need to
cool.
replace your electrolytes because if
All
you
right.
don't, you're going to
Sure.
feel fatigued. Your muscles are going to
Right,
cramp. And I guess you could
Yeah,
run
no,
over
I
to
generally
Walmart
eat,
and buy
like, a
whatever
grapefruit
low
a day.
quality,
Like, I'm not
sugar
joking.
filled
Every day.
BS you see on the
At least
shelves
once.
there.
Sometimes as many
But
as 3.
instead, Drink Element has 0 sugar
Grapefruits.
and they have the best
I like
and
the red
most
ones.
creative flavors in the electrolyte game.
Oh, really?
And for a
No.
limited time,
All of that
right
stuff,
now,
okay,
they're
all right, that's
offering.
enough of that. All of that stuff looks like things I'm allergic to just from the outside packaging. Ew. Ew.
Recipes. I mean,
No.
how cool of a concept is this? They actually have a bunch of recipes.
Ew. Why? Why? No. What is this? Just like injectable caffeine crap? I don't get it.
It's awesome, but the awesomeness doesn't stop there. If you go to drinkelement.com
Oh, boy,
slash
he's
Kyle
going
hates
whole
hiking, that's
hog. What he's doing, the full
drinklmnt.com slash Kyle hates hiking, and you make a purchase,
I'm proud of him.
you're going to get a sample pack of 8 additional flavors thrown in with your
sponsorships, and
order
I don't
for
hate
no
ads.
extra
It's
cost.
just like
Again,
there's
I'd
nothing
recommend
here
that
for
you pick
y'all,
up the
really.
chocolate medley
Except an
since
ad.
it's only available for a limited amount of time.
Okay,
And like I
I
just
get
said,
it.
if you do so through my link, drinklmnt.com slash Kyle hates hiking, you'll get those extra flavors
All right.
thrown.
You remember the intro song? Did you hear it? Everything, all the time, a little bit of everything, all the time, all the time.
And now let's get into the story.
Thank
Thomas Seibold was a native German, but he had been living in Three Lakes, Wisconsin for 6 years
It'd be like
prior
that
to
sometimes. I don't know what
2012.
to tell you.
While living in Wisconsin, he had spent extensive time training at the Teaching Drum Outdoor School, which describes its mission as, quote, to offer wilderness immersion and personal development experiences where you can learn directly from nature and discover what it means to be fully human. Seibold was also an instructor at Teaching Drum. Now, in other places online, Teaching Drum has been described as essentially a survival school. They teach things like fire.
Okay, teaching drum is not a class in the sense of learning to play the drums. It is a class in the sense of learning basic primitive skills. And so in the process of learning your basic primitive skills, you'll learn all the skills capable of making a basic hide drum.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Think about it. I mean, it's fairly with the same skills that you use to make a drum, you can make a bow.
True.
It's just that your tension's different, your sinews are
Yes.
different, your mechanisms are, but it's the same concept: tension over space. Right. So the same methods and techniques are utilized in both practices. So yeah, you're basically screwed. You're gonna go out there into like deep dark wilderness, and while the animals are trying to chew on you, you're gonna be over here like stretch drying a rabbit over a stump. You might even not even eat the rabbit because you never learned that part, right? You just just learned how to make the
I'm just gonna be over there drumming myself to death.
Shelter building, wild plant gathering, and a lot more. Now, that's certainly a very basic summary of what they do, but what I really want to illustrate here is that after 6 years at Teaching Drum, Thomas
Dennis, but don't get
Seibold was
attacked
a
by a
very
bar.
competent, even expert level survivalist. And his experience was not just limited to the woods of northern Wisconsin. Seibold had spent time camping in the extreme north of Norway, so he was no stranger
pretty
to
hardcore.
surviving in extremely cold, harsh conditions.
You got to understand,
And
that's the type of the world when you start sailing around in it, your boat's cut like knives through the Rocky Fjords. That's pretty that's pretty hostile territory. Yeah, that's respectable. So chances are he shouldn't do this. Can you see me? ATL, can you do this for me? No, I want some wiggles. Give me finger wiggles. That'll do. All right, bud. Thank you. Somebody used my image to do the thing to wandering hippie a couple of days ago. They got him.
Really?
Yeah.
Got him.
They got him. They almost got him. He was quick enough on the draw that he got it out of the way and whatnot pretty quick. But They used my image to do it, which, you know, kind of makes me proud of them. But at the same time, how silly. I probably knew about it before they did. I mean, he messaged me immediately. It was like, "You're not actually in my studio, are you?" And I was like, "No, sir, I'm live with Freaking." I mean, he's like, "Yeah," he got me. I was like, "Damn, okay." I apologize, but I
He's had to take down his channel a couple of times now.
I know of one that he's lost, and I know of one that he just removed because he didn't like kind of the way it was going. I think it was his very first channel. He had already gotten like 2 strikes and was just like, you know what, screw it, and deleted it, started a new channel, and then lost it, started a new channel, Wandering Hippie, and I hosted him. And then he started singing hippie since then. Yeah. You know what we're watching? You know what we're doing?
Yeah, I tried to get on this girl's panel over here a couple of weeks back, and she didn't put me on.
What?
Did she put you down?
Yeah, Joe Cool up there and everyone else. I tried to get up there because I had something to say.
Sure, that wasn't a job. This is M's Mad World.
Yeah.
Or wait, no.
I wouldn't.
That was Flow State. That wasn't her. That was his panel, not hers. She was just streaming it.
Thank you. Because I wouldn't have. Yeah. I wouldn't have did that.
Okay.
Well, if he didn't recognize, you know, Flow State, it was kind of weird. Flow State's been doing this for years.
Yeah, and I would have been like, I would have remembered that, and I wouldn't have. Yeah. Flow, like.
Well, no, everybody's kind of weirded out.
People
do what?
That he deals with that I can't. I just can't.
Yeah, no, I get that. I do. But
some people like
over there on this panel, you apparently have to have been around for a while in order to get on his panel. And I showed up on a Tuesday, was on panel like the next night with a moderator status, and everybody was like, "Hey, now, who the hell are you?" I was like,
"Wait a minute. You know what?"
Now we had talked several times before, right? Get over it. I'm far more trustworthy and stable than you are.
I'm a fucking member.
You're nuts.
I'm not nuts.
Start raving batshit. If I pissed you off, I'd worry about getting stabbed. Do you have an ice pick with you? See? All right. I rest my case. So we're looking at the disappearance of what was his name? Seibold?
Seibold.
The mobile monster.
Yeah. Oh, that's the next one. That's the next video. We're getting to that in a second. That's the one I really want to cover tonight, and we're just kind of covering ground till we get there.
Well, judge versus sheriff, the judge will win every time.
Except the judge has been retired for 5 years, and the orders left over, or for a few years, and the orders left over from a COVID policy that was just written in on a rider, and it's not actual law and has nothing to do with law. It has to do with public emergency shit. So absolutely not. That'll never fly. That should have been shut down like 2 years ago, and they know it, and you know it, and there it is. But anyway, not this dude, but this guy disappeared, and we're discussing the case of his disappearance in Alaska, where he was probably eaten by a bear, if we had to guess. That's the general consensus currently.
Well, who disappeared, the judge or the sheriff?
Neither. It was, I can't remember the dude's name.
Seibold.
Seibold, that's right. Mr. Seibold disappeared. Thomas Seibold in Anchorage disappeared in a cabin near Ambler, where he had apparently been occupying for a minute. We're just getting into the story. Welcome to the show.
If you're going to disappear, Alaska is definitely the place to do it.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. Like, going to Alaska and doing any fucking thing is an invitation to be one of those 40% that just fucking vanish. They just drive off the edge of the goddamn map over there. They find their car in a junkyard 20 years later. It's like...
Plus, there's some weird shit that goes on up there. In that one
it doesn't
part.
have to be weird. It's far enough away from civilization that anything fucking normal could kill you.
Yeah. You got to be prepared when you get into those northern states, even like Minnesota, North Dakota. You can't just go out in the middle of winter,
right?
You just know you need
a trip to the fucking woodpile might be your last. And you bundle up for that. And you're not bundling up because it'll kill you between here and the woodpile. You're bundling up because walking to the woodpile, you might twist an ankle, get stuck out there for 45 minutes, an hour trying to crawl back in. And if that's the case, you don't want to freeze to death.
yeah, have you ever been in really cold weather before?
I would say yes as a Sasquatch, but no as a person, because I've seen really cold weather and what it does, but I've never actually had to experience it. The closest I've gotten is like -10.
Yeah, no, see, when you get into like -30, it's like when you breathe out, it's like you hear wind chimes.
Right. It's the air crackles.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild, dude. That's wild.
I survived a blizzard.
I used to work in a -80 freezer. We had special chemicals, and you were only allowed in there for I think it was 10 minutes at a time.
I imagine so.
Yeah, and you had to put up a flag when you went into there. You had to put a flag up that you were in there with a timer, so everyone in the work area could see that. Yes, all right, Nick is in there. He's been in there for 6.5 minutes, and the alarm goes off, and someone has to go in after you if you're over the 10-minute mark.
Right.
Because you will die.
So here's where things go really wacky with Alaska as far as I'm concerned. First of all, over the past 100 years, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people have gone to Alaska to start their homestead, never to be heard from again.
Mm-hmm.
This is so common that it's kind of a running joke. People show up in Anchorage, they drive out of Anchorage, they ship their cars back, and then the next wave of disappearances get in the same cars and drive out of Anchorage and just fucking vanish. Eventually, they'll find some bit of clothing out in the woods next to a started cabin and maybe a latrine dug, and their stuff just scattered all over. I suspect, and this is just me, I don't know of anyone else who agrees with me. Everyone else looks at me like I'm nuts when I bring this up. But I believe there is a series of competitive groups of serial killers that function up the BC corridor from Anchorage all the way to Seattle. If you go and look at the number of people who have disappeared on that particular highway corridor, it is far and above average. It's so far above average in a certain area in BC. It's called the Highway of Tears.
Well, you know that. Have you ever seen that movie, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind?
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened up there.
Yeah.
Was it Juno?
All in that same little area.
Crazy stuff.
That chick.
I might have to check that one out.
Yeah.
Also, I'll tell you another one. I might have. I don't know. I'd have to go check it out. The name doesn't jump out at me. I'm sure I have. I worked in movies for the longest time. I'm sure I've seen it. That's why I can't remember. I just don't specifically remember it. I'm sure as soon as I turn it on, I'll be like, oh yeah, that movie. That thing is wild, whatever it is. But there is if you've ever heard the story from Snatch, when what's the scene? Jason Statham meets Bricktop the first time. He explains that the best way to get rid of a body is to feed him to the pigs, right? The process, homie, that little quote that homie makes right there is something that was actually said by a Canadian pig farmer who killed perhaps as many as 350 victims, maybe only 20. He only copped to 20 of them. But there are hundreds of people in that area that are just fucking gone.
Why do you think Canadian bacon tastes so good?
Yeah, right. Be careful with that Canadian bacon, folks. It might be delicious long pork.
In Hannibal, he does that with Mason Verger, but it was because Mason already had the pigs, that's how the story goes. And then Hannibal ends up dumping him into the thing, and the pigs eat him.
Yeah. I remember that now. Right. Yeah, that was in Alberta. He's correct. You're right.
According to one source I read, apparently Seibold had nearly died in the boundary waters of Minnesota when he accidentally injured his leg with an axe. He was bleeding profusely, but was eventually reached by emergency.
Homie's standing around doing his normal shit every day of the week, cuts off 2 toes on his foot. Holy shit, I might bleed to death. Why? Because his ass is on the edge of fucking creation. What do you do? I mean, you can't call somebody. You got to wrap your ass up, carry your ass back to the camp, get enough of your shit together to get to the vehicle so that you can drive your happy ass to emergency services.
Yeah. Hey, if if you have basic survival skills, it's not that hard to make it in those conditions.
It depends.
You know how.
It depends, though, on how bad the cut is, on how much of your foot you lost, on how well you can walk in that condition, and how far you are away from your vehicle, how far you are. You know what I'm saying? If you're driving a stick shift and you cut off part of your foot, you might be just absolutely fucked from the get. I think I could figure it out, but no. The dude abides, yeah. I get that so much. That and the bloated Rob Zombie.
Do they even make stick shifts anymore? Probably have to special order them.
I think you do have to request them. I think if you just call up and order a freaking truck, it's going to show up with a automatic. But I'll tell you, man, given the weight transfer that you get by not having a stick shift, I think it's worth it if you're dealing with like a 6-cylinder. Anything above that, it doesn't matter, because you've got enough torque to carry it. But on a 6-cylinder, the lighter automatic transmission, I think, gives you a better power to weight ratio over the control of the manual. Right?
And if you're going into your specialty curves and hills and things like that, when you got some weight, yeah, I think a stick shift comes in handy. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You run the low gears,
If you're downshifting down hills and stuff, and you know what you're doing and know how to do that, yes, absolutely. I mean, on the other hand, there is the issue of automatic transmissions overheating whenever you're going down a hill and you press the brake. Since the gear, the turbine gear in there ain't turning, it's not actually moving fluid up, right? So every now and then you have to bump the gas just to move fluid up and cool the top side of the transmission. You don't have to actually speed up. You just have to engage the transmission a hair. Just to move some fluid around.
Is that when you get into, what is that, Johnny Stop? What is that called?
Where you run up the Jake run, where you run off a runaway route.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's called a Jake Stop, not a Johnny Stop. I'm thinking of something else.
Well, the reason, as I understand it, the reason it's called a Jake Stop is because when they go down it, they're running their Jake brake as hard as they can, along with their disc brakes and their air brakes, trying to stop that big heavy piece of machinery from falling off the Continental fucking Divide.
Yeah, and you can hear it when they do it. It's
That's if it works. If it don't, it makes a totally different sound, like hell's coming. It's amazing. All right.
Yeah, I've seen a truck go off before, off one of those.
I don't want to see that.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing.
I mean, I'm currently trying to find me a fucking 14-foot ham can trailer to build into a mobile studio, and I don't like the idea of towing it with a tiny truck unless it's properly weighted, So it's going to be ballasted specifically, and I'm going to put a brake kit in it. Watch me, watch me. And if I got to, I'll get some slitted rotors and shit if it comes down to it. But I don't think it will. I think we're good enough for a light.
You ever have your trailer bounce on you?
Bro, dude, I used
the tires ain't moving. The tires ain't moving.
No. I had one of them doing this number on me, right? It was really weird. And you'll know what I'm talking about. Anybody who's done this will know what I'm talking about. I was riding along at 45. It was fine. At 55, it was like riding a fucking Bronco. So much was just fliggling all over the fucking place. I pull over on the side of the road and realize we had this huge plate glass window across the top, and they had put all the windows, all of the big windows to the front of the trailer and all of the small windows to the rear of the trailer to balance out the picture window, which put all of the weight directly on the fucking tongue, leaving the ass end of the trailer back yonder just flapping around like a dead fish don't.
Yeah, you got to load right.
It took me 4 hours on the side of the road to pull that shit apart, respace those windows, and put it back together so that I could drive that damn thing. And I got pissed.
You get mad at the slumpers.
Right. I tried to promote them to stevedores, but they wouldn't take the promotion. I changed it. When I was doing the inventory rewrite, I got access to the computer system, and I changed the loaders title from loaders to stevedores. I just didn't say nothing about it. I was like, that's not cool enough. They should be stevedores. And I put it over there. Just moved on with the rest of my job. Didn't think nothing about it. Found out a couple of months ago. Apparently now they actually call the loaders stevedores now. Apparently someone read the word, knew what it meant, and decided to use it. You're welcome. There's a little bit of trollery for you. All right, we've got to finish the videos or it's not a show. You understand that, right? I've already drank all my Red Bull. It's not even your fault.
I know.
You're doing good. I'm very proud of you.
Not sure if this is true, but if it is, it either shows that Seibold was strong and able to survive in dire situations, or that he was a little reckless and capable of putting himself in danger. Or even, perhaps it shows a little bit of both. In June of 2012, Thomas Seibold flew to Alaska and began what was supposed to be a 5-month journey in the state. He spent some time at a fish camp in the southeast portion of the state and then made his way to the Tanana River near Fairbanks. I apologize if I got that name wrong, by the way. The river, not Fairbanks. Compared to most cities in the United States, Fairbanks is small and isolated. However, for Alaskan standards, Fairbanks is a pretty big city. It's actually the second most populated city in the state. In September, Seibold made a big leap, leaving the relatively populated Fairbanks area behind when he traveled to the Arctic village of Ambler, Alaska. Remote, isolated villages exist all throughout Alaska, and most of them can only be accessed by plane. These villages are largely inhabited by Alaskan natives and have very, very small populations. Ambler only had a population of 258 people in 2010. Ambler is also right on the border of Gates of the Arctic National Park. Now, when a lot of people think of U.S. national parks, they obviously think of beauty and nature, but they also think of crowded tourist destinations, buses full of people, gift shops, and overpriced cafeterias. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been to a lot of national parks, and there's definitely some very remote territory within the national park system, but the truth is that many national parks these days feel crowded. Gates of the Arctic National Park, however, is very different. The park encompasses some 8 million plus acres of terrain and has exactly 0 established roads, let alone hiking trails within its border. I believe it's the second largest national park. Much like the villages that it borders, the vast majority of its visitors have to fly in order to access it. This results in Gates of the Arctic consistently being ranked as the least or second least visited national park in the entire United States.
So to go missing here, you have to put forth an awful lot of effort. I mean, you're not just going to wander outside your house and end up going missing in Glacier National Park. Well, I woke up this morning and I was going to go get me some drugs and I ended up lost in Glacier National Park. True story, bro. I just don't buy it. So homie put forth enough effort. He had to fly into that place. So did he get what he was looking for, you reckon?
Well, how far is the nearest town to the park?
Oh, wow. No, there's like 2 towns near the park that's almost in it, sort of, like right on the edge, right before you get to it. They basically function off the tourist attraction of the park, but they're a little ways south of it. To get into the park, you pretty much have to fly. And that's kind of what these towns cater to. So 100 miles, maybe 150. Yeah, it's going to be a fucking minute.
Yeah, so it'd take you about a week and a half to walk there.
That's if nothing's wrong.
Yeah, and then you're skilled because that's a raw land. That's not.
Yeah,
it's not a hiking trail, so it's
yeah. That's straight up cross country. That's rough territory. It's not just cross country. Your average cross country, most of the land that you can come into contact with on the eastern seaboard at some point in time was clear cut, plowed, and planted in cotton or indigo or grain or something in the past 300 years. And out there, that's not the fucking case.
It's raw. It's untouched.
Yeah.
States. After arriving in the village of Ambler, Seibold made his way some 30 miles north up the Ambler River, eventually arriving at a cabin owned by a woman and her 13-year-old son. I believe they were contacts Seibold had made through teaching drum. Some reports stated Seibold walked the 30 miles to the cabin. Other reports said he paddled there with the woman and her son. So I'm not really sure what the truth is, but either way, we definitely know that Seibold made his way to this remote cabin. And we also know that this cabin would end up being the last place that Seibold was ever seen alive.
How long did it take him to get to that cabin?
Stayed with the woman and
it doesn't specify, but at least a couple of days. It says that he paddled 30 miles upriver to get to it from Ambler. And upriver kind of depends on flow. Totally depends on flow, but you can call it 5 miles an hour. So that's 2 or 3 days.
Was that the river that he went up? The one that was sagging all over the place?
I guess so.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty new river. I mean that's as far as river age is concerned, I don't think the flow is all that bad in it.
Maybe
it had too many curves in it to be really heavy, you know?
You'd think so, but it kind of depends on volume too. I mean, time of year and whatnot. Obviously, it wasn't too strong because he did go upstream, but he seems like the kind of guy who might not have given a shit if it took him a month to do it. You know?
Yeah, he's into his action, yep.
Right, he's into it for the long haul. I think that makes sense. So 2 or 3 days probably, but however long it took to get there.
And her son for an unspecified amount of time, but eventually they parted ways. Some articles state that the woman and her son left the cabin at the end of September, trying to make it back to civilization before the rivers froze over. Other articles state that Seibold left the cabin before the others departed and hiked out by himself into gates of the Arctic National Park. I don't know which story is true, but my hunch is that Seibold stuck around for some time after the others left, all the way into early October, and you're going to see why I think this very shortly. Seibold had shared some vague plans with others before he disappeared. Apparently, he was planning on exploring gates of the Arctic National Park by himself all the way until early November, at which point he would hike the 25 or 30 miles to the village of Kobuk. He had a flight out of Kobuk scheduled for November 11th, which would be the first leg of his journey all the way back to Wisconsin. But Seibold never showed up for that flight and was reported missing shortly afterwards. At first, confidence that he was still alive was very high. After all, he was a student of survival. If this was some random tourist trapped out in the Alaskan wilderness, especially at the end of the year when the temperatures are dropping, I'm sure everyone would have assumed the worst pretty much right away. But once again, Seibold was just about as prepared as you could possibly be for a situation like this. And even though the temperatures were getting very cold and the weather was getting worse by the day, as I stated earlier, he had literally spent nights camping in the winter in far north Norway. Obviously, something must have gone wrong for him to miss the flight, but everyone hoped that he was still out there alive. Searchers quickly descended upon the cabin Seibold had been staying in, and it's here that they discovered their first clues, the biggest of which was a makeshift journal. Now, I wasn't able to find the entirety of Seibold's writings, but the last date that appeared in the journal was October 7th, 2012. This date is the reason that I personally believe Seibold stuck around at the cabin after the mother and daughter that he was staying with had left. In his last journal entry, Seibold wrote that he was going to leave the cabin for a few days and hike around the national park and explore. There was no indication that he ever made it back to the cabin. And so the obvious question is, when Seibold left the cabin, where did he go? Unfortunately, we don't really know the answer to that question. There was some reports that his journal mentioned hiking and camping higher up in the mountains, and also that he wrote about prepping firewood for the cabin, which indicates that he was planning on returning.
That gives a high likelihood of the utilization or an axe of an axe or a hatchet or a saw, and any of that could become a dire moment. Takes no time for it to become an emergency.
Yep.
Agree? Disagree?
You need a hatchet if you're going to do what he just did. That's that's as essential as a winter coat. I mean, that's just, you need that. You're gonna work, yeah. Okay, I mean, you're gonna need food. You're gonna have to shave the bark to eat. You need food, you know.
A hatchet goes a long way to solving a bunch of problems that you don't have until you're stuck by yourself.
Yeah.
A knife is nice, but if you've got a hatchet, you can sharpen part of that hatchet to be as sharp as any knife. It won't stay that way, but you can do a full skin out with a hatchet. I've done it. It's not fun and it's not easy, but it can be done.
No, and you get a good hatchet too. You know, one that has a nice smooth metal on it. You know, not one of the.
I have one of the best hatchets I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen another one quite like it. It's a plum, and it's a variation of a roofer's adze, but it's sideways like a hatchet. It has the hammer face, the nail puller, the sideways nail puller, and the bevel on it is actually a little off center for doing things like trim and whatnot.
Does it have a name on it?
It's some type of plum. I don't know specifically what type of hatchet it is, but it's the coolest thing I've seen in a while. I that's why I kept it.
Yeah, it doesn't have a maker's mark on it.
It's a plum, like the hammer plum.
Yes,
it's a plum. I don't know specifically what type, but it's some type of a plum hatchet roof axe type thing.
No, I'm asking for the manufacturer.
Plum.
Who?
You know, like East Wing, the brand Plum.
Have you ever listened to the Who?
I try not to. I don't listen to propaganda.
Who?
Right, the WHO.
Understanding is that when Seibold left, he did not take his .22 caliber rifle or his .30-06 caliber rifle, both of which would have been very useful in a survival situation. Another clue was found on day 3 of the search for Seibold. A large O marked into a gravel bar was spotted from a plain roughly 8 miles north of the intersection between the Ambler River and Olenek Creek. Upon further inspection, searchers believe that this O was possibly made by Seibold to mark a spot where he left supplies. In reference to this discovery, one of Seibold's colleagues at Teaching Drum said, quote, Because the circle has such strong meaning to Thomas, we think there's a high likelihood that he etched the sign. Alaska State Troopers, along with local police departments, search and rescue volunteers, among lots of other.
But it might have been a dead turkey. You ever seen that happen? Turkeys follow the leader, right? So if, let's say, hypothetically, some turkeys are walking along in a line and the leader or the second turkey falls dead from a heart attack, the other turkeys will stand there behind him for a second, and then the second or third one now in line will walk around that turkey, and the whole circle will become just a never-ending thing because they're waiting for this turkey to walk off because it's the first in the pecking order. The leader may very well walk away and lose his flock because turkeys are dumb and don't look back.
Well, then.
You laugh, but I'm dead serious. Like
I don't fuck with turkeys.
I got it. I got a grip. You okay? We good? Yeah, okay.
Other groups searched extensively for Thomas Seibold. The area that they covered was approximately 3,500 square miles of incredibly remote and harsh terrain. It was like trying to find a needle in a haystack. And as if the search wasn't already difficult enough, the weather was taking a turn.
No. That's like trying to find a needle in the hay field.
Yeah.
3,500 square miles, and they went looking for him.
Yeah.
On a matter of percentage, they didn't cover but probably 8 miles around the cabin. I wouldn't have personally. If I was doing a search and rescue team and I had more than 20 people to expend, there's no way I would waste them any further than 20 miles. No way.
Right. Yeah.
Even if you had extreme professionals in there, they would, in my opinion, my humble, non-professional opinion, be more valuable as part of the search effort in a tighter group than over 3,000 square miles.
You do 20 miles a day.
Yeah, it kind of depends on how long you have them and who they are, but yeah. Like, there's a really big difference between doing search and rescue up there in the Arctic versus doing search and rescue in a swamp or, on a mountainside or something like that. These are very, very different skills.
What year did this happen?
2012, I think.
Oh, so it's not that old, huh?
Not terribly, but it's not that recent either.
I'm surprised they don't have a technology yet to track people.
They kind of do.
They should be able to find a bottom.
There's an air tag type thing that people are starting to carry with them. I think it's called a hiker's buddy or a hiker's friend or something like that. And it's mainly so they can find the body. The idea being that it's like an RIFD chip and you can like broadcast a signal and then track down. They don't broadcast very far. So if somebody's missing in a specific area, you can go and like do a low pass over the area. And if you pick up the tag, you can do a physical search. Right. But as I understand it, they're not terribly popular because a lot of people who do this type of lifestyle really aren't trying to be looked for.
Yeah.
They're not trying to be found. So.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they had a way to shut it on and off, and that it's off,
I think it should have a button like a dead man switch that you have to press every 24 hours or 48 hours or something. And if you don't press that button, the emergency tag triggers and you get a beacon, something like that. Kind of like those rafts on yachts and stuff. Like
like the Google Nest. I don't like them because they don't have an on and off button on them.
Right. They're just
so, what I end up doing is whenever I'm not using it, I unplug the damn thing.
It is okay, Nick. We are always watching you.
No, it irritates the hell out of me. Because when I want to shut it off, I'm trying to shut it off and it won't let me shut it off.
You do not understand your AI overlord's wish for you to be comfortable with the camera we have installed in every room in your house. We put it into your VCR, into your computer.
You can joke about this subject here.
Yeah, right.
But it's going to be real one day.
You all right, bud? You like to punch yourself in the eye on the way out?
No, my other phone was dying, and I have it plugged up to a charger, but like it wasn't charging for some reason. I don't know why. So I was like,
He doesn't seem to. Hold on, Barbie. He doesn't seem to have had any method of communication, as far as I can tell. As far as I was able to look, like for instance, when I looked on researching this, I couldn't find any reference to a mother and son traveling with him to a cabin. I heard of that. I found they went, as far as I know, to like what was that town? Amblerville or whatever, Ambler. They went there and then went home. But that's the only thing I could find. But if he says they went with him, I assume they did, but I don't know. So clearly he had really no way of communicating.
What kind of temperatures were out there in October during that time?
It is Alaska, so it probably wasn't great. Although he'd done winter. He had done winter.
October, you're not hitting the cold. It's cold, but it's not, you're not into the -30 area. You're probably, around 0, 10, 15 degrees.
But you are into that hypothermia area where if you decided to go out a couple of days to go hiking and you marched, with a pretty good pace, fresh for a day out, and you twist an ankle or something, it might take you 3 or 4 days to get back.
Yeah. It takes a look. If you're a healthy person that's used to that kind of environment, hypothermia doesn't set in that quick unless you're getting wet. Your body gets used to that after a while. It might take you.
Yeah.
You have to starve a little bit, get dehydrated. You got to get sick if you're a healthy person.
There's a condition that used to happen to trappers, and I can't remember what they called it. But it's a condition where you maintain just enough body heat to stay alive. It's a really long-term form of hypothermia. But what happens is your core body temperature is reduced to above survival level, but below thriving level. And because it's too cold to develop white blood cells properly and red blood cells properly, you slowly die of asphyxiation due to a lack of red blood cells.
Yeah. Right.
And that kind of stuff, the only way for it to be for you to heal from that type of stuff is an extended, like multi-week stay in warmth. You have to actually get warm, but it takes 2 or 3 weeks for it to set in, right? And long term, you can lose fingers, you can lose toes, bits and pieces can fall off. Your skin gets dry and itchy. You lose your appetite. You slowly lose the ability to feel your extremities entirely. It has a weird, almost syphilitic type of effect where you're a leper, but it takes, like I said, a couple of months for it to get to like that stage. And I kind of feel like the old Wendigo stories might be that kind of a story coming across people who have gotten to that level of starvation and hypothermia, because that's right around the same time you start going into like hysterical undressing. All right, we're gonna wrap this up one night. I don't know if it's tonight, but we're definitely gonna try.
For the worst, searchers experienced temperatures as low as -40 degrees Fahrenheit. Rivers froze over, but not enough to be safely traversed without risking submersion, which slowed them down. In many locations, the frozen ground made using four-wheelers all but impossible. And so, given how difficult the conditions were, search and rescue's best bet was to explore the area via planes and helicopters. Sergeant Duane Stone, one of the troopers leading the search, was quoted saying, "We've flown low enough to see wolverine, wolf, and bear tracks. We haven't found any sign of a human moving around at all in the area. In fact, the only sign of a human found throughout the entire search was the O marked in the ground." Searchers believed that Seibold may have built a base camp in the area near the intersection of the Ambler River and the Olenek Creek. Therefore, this spot was searched extensively,
okay, bud,
but yielded zero additional clues. After 13 days, Troopers called off the official search, citing dangerous conditions and lack of evidence as the two main reasons. But even after the official search was canceled, friends, family members, and colleagues from teaching drum continued to search to the best of their abilities. And one interesting part of this case is that as the search dragged on, people began drawing parallels between Seibold's story and the story of Christopher McCandless. I'm guessing that many of you have heard of the book/movie Into the Wild, which is based on the true story of a young man who decided to live off the land in Alaska all by himself. McCandless would end up living in an abandoned bus, but only survived about 3.5 months before dying of starvation. Hunters eventually found his body, and when they did, he only weighed about 67 pounds. Due to how famous the Christopher McCandless story was,
67 pounds.
You have all that green around you. You have all those trees around you, and you're gonna starve to death.
Well,
That's not what
all right.
happened.
Hold on. With McCandless, it's a little bit more complicated than that. McCandless actually brought with him what he thought were referred to as seed potatoes. And the thing about these things are they're fine to eat if they're like aged a little bit. You don't want to pick them straight out of the ground and just eat them because they have a very low level toxin in them that is they're nightshade related, right? So there's a low level toxin on any of them that are green. You're not supposed to eat them. And the problem was he planted them, but ran out of food before they were really safe to start eating. And then once he had started eating them, he stayed eating them longer than he should have. He should have moved out of that area into like salmon area or near a river or something like that where he could get other food. But apparently he decided that someone would find the bus before he starved to death. And the seed potatoes being green basically slowly poisoned him. It has a double effect. The poison prevents your body from properly healing. All of the scabs and everything on you maintain the poison in it and basically just burn you. And it also stops the uptake of oxygen. I think it like does something bad to your red blood cells.
Right. You do realize that, I mean, you got your hatchet, right? You do realize if you take the bark off of a tree and you just finally shave what's underneath.
But you're missing the point. You're missing the point. What I'm getting at is he didn't starve to death because he didn't have food. He starved to death because he thought he had food.
No, he starved to death because he was an idiot.
No, the toxin that is in that particular thing that you're talking about causes the body to not be able to absorb protein, which is why he slowly starved to death and weighed what he did when they found him.
Which
Like
basically he died of idiocy.
It just wasn't going to happen.
By the time he realized there was a problem, he was too weak to really do anything about it. It wasn't something he did on purpose. It was just that he thought he was eating good food, and instead he was slowly poisoning himself. His belly was full. He felt invigorated by eating, but it was just causing him to slowly deprive himself of nutrients because he couldn't absorb nutrients through his stomach. But yeah, anyway.
It was easy for people to compare it to that of Seibold's. After all, both stories featured young men who had wandered off into the Alaskan wilderness all by themselves. Both men appeared to be on some sort of personal spiritual journey, and by this point in the search, it seemed likely that both men had met similar tragic fates. However, despite these obvious similarities, there are also some key differences between Seibold and McCandless's stories. The most obvious difference is that Seibold, at least on paper, was prepared for the journey that he was undertaking, and this is due to all his survival training. Seibold also had a solid plan and an exit strategy. Obviously, something had gone horribly wrong when he left the cabin after October 7th. And that brings us to the biggest question of this entire video. What the hell happened to Thomas Seibold? And obviously, we don't have a solid answer to this question, but there are a few different theories that I think are worth exploring, even if they're just speculation. So anytime somebody disappears without a trace, there's always going to be a theory about them running away to start a new life somewhere. And though this is technically possible, because I mean, we don't really know what happened, it does seem unlikely that this was the case with Seibold, and many of those who knew him don't really consider this a possibility. It seems like Seibold didn't really have any reason to run away, and I did read one article that said that he actually had a wife waiting for him back in Wisconsin, but once again, that's a piece of information I wasn't able to verify. And so if Seibold didn't run away, it's most likely that he died out there somewhere in the Alaskan backcountry. So what could have happened here? Well, it's always possible that he could have been the tragic victim of a bear attack. It's probably no secret to most of you that Alaska...
He was out there playing rock, paper, bear claw. Obviously, he lost.
And he lost.
Yeah.
Definitely lost.
Yeah. I think we could all agree there. He brought a knife to a bear fight.
Yeah, they're tricky too, because you know, up in New York, I've gone hunting up in the Thousand Islands, and it's spooky because sometimes you don't realize they're there, and all of a sudden you just walk up on them, and it's like, oh shit, you know?
Yeah, no, dude. The one I wandered up on that day, I seen him at a distance, and then as soon as like my conscious mind was realized that there was a bear around, I moved away from the woods, and he was like right there on just behind those trees. Like as soon as I got far enough away, he just walked out from behind the trees. I was like, oh shit. Back on the menu, boys. Be careful out there, folks.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they have these encounters, I think a lot of the times they just don't realize they're there, and they walk right up on them, you know, and they're not paying attention to their surroundings.
You see the video of the chick doing the bike run down the mountain and the bear chasing her, and she's doing it on this like the selfie stick and singing, and there's a bear right behind her, and she didn't realize till she got to the bottom of the mountain that she was almost a meal.
You know what? I think I've seen that.
Yeah, I've been copyright claimed on that video like 9 times. I'm not showing it tonight.
Alaska is crawling with bears. Both black bears and grizzly bears inhabit gates of the Arctic National Park. We know that Seibold did not take his guns with him when he left the cabin, which could have left him vulnerable to a bear attack. Now, this is unlikely. Bear attacks are extremely rare after all, but my understanding is that in the fall, bears can be a little extra dangerous due to increased hunger. These bears need to fatten themselves up before they go into hibernation for the winter. So this is a possibility, but in my opinion, the most likely scenario is that Seibold got injured or horribly lost and simply succumbed to the elements. Even with all of his survival experience, I still think this is entirely plausible. And that's because the area that he was traveling in is extremely dangerous in the fall and early winter, even to the point where many experienced local hunters and trappers steer clear of it. In reference to the area that Seibold went missing, Sergeant Dwayne Stone was quoted saying, "It is remote and it is hazardous even on Alaska standards. If trappers aren't going up there, it should give you kind of an idea." The final question I want to raise is, given Seibold's survival experience, should he have known better than to try and venture out on his own in an extremely remote location during a time of year known for volatile weather? To be clear, I'm not trying to victim blame here, but I do think this is a fair...
Well, given the fact that he left his guns at the house, seems to have left most of his hiking equipment there, I don't believe he actually went out for a multi-day hike. I think he wandered somewhere fairly near the cabin just to get a lay of the general land nearby, with the plans of going out later, and got jumped by a cougar or wolverine, or twisted his ankle and got eaten by a fox.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's even something quicker than that because I mean, even if you're going out for a short hike in a place like this, you're gonna bring your gun with you because
Mhm.
so that sounds like this is something he just needed to go outside real quick and just do something and something happened.
It
Because
does.
because even when you're doing no, 'cause, you know when I was up in the Adirondacks and we're out in like the remote areas,
Yeah.
you don't outside of the cabin or the tent area, you always had your gun in your hand or
Bro,
strapped to your back.
I'm East Coast and only slightly swamp born, and you'd be hard pressed to get me to go much of anywhere out there without my pistol with me. I
Yeah,
just won't do it.
that's it. Yeah, so I mean, if he's experienced and everything else, I mean that might make you think that he'll go out there without it for a little bit, but
Yeah, which I'm thinking he went out to go like find the latrine or take a dump or something. You know,
you,
he
you get
stepped
one.
outside for a minute.
Yeah, you get one good day of like a -40, -50. Yeah, that'll hit you.
Well, we don't know how snowy it was. I mean, it hasn't been clear. We don't know exactly when he disappeared, but we assume it was on the last day of his last entry in his journal, right? But it could have been a couple of days later. He may have made several trips back and forth there, but he didn't take his long hike gear and he didn't take his guns, which implied that he had no intention of going much farther than just right around the cabin, in my opinion. Anyway,
I
we
think
only got a few more minutes
the
left.
lack of gun, I think, tells us that more than the.
Right.
All right, go ahead.
Fair question. I'm sure Seibold understood the risks associated with his actions, but maybe he was being a little bit overconfident. Or maybe not. Maybe he just wanted to put himself up against the ultimate challenge, surviving in Alaska. Unfortunately, we'll never really know what exactly was going through his head. Due to how remote this area is, and due to the fact that it's been over 10 years now, I highly doubt we'll ever find a trace of Thomas Seibold and know the truth about what really happened to him. This story should serve as a cautionary tale. Even when you're extremely experienced in something, things can still go horribly wrong. Be sure to keep your guard up and be sure to be safe out there, everybody. My heart goes out to Thomas Seibold, his friends, and his family. And of course, thank you all so much for watching.
And something I also wanted to point out here. You know, in the world, because this is what 2012, you said.
Give or take, yeah.
You know, in the world of equal rights and everything, you don't see women doing this kind of thing, do you?
A little bit. You see a few of them, but whether or not they're legitimate and they're whole hog and just as hardcore is kind of debatable. In a lot of cases, when you find women that claim to be doing this stuff, you find out that they're at a she shed up the hill from the big house. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. Exactly. No, exactly. They got the whole entourage, you know, and they just moved off, you know, like 100 feet over here where they could, you know, wave at each other.
Yeah, no. Very early, before I started this channel to read Westerns and never got around to it, one of my first thoughts was to do one of those primitive channels, and I would just repeatedly show the same 56 traps over and over and over again. Make shorts out of them, do little bits, have little, you know, trap the dogs with them and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Just these silly stuff that looks primitive but is really quite silly, just using different types of materials and doing primitive stuff. And that was I never got that one even out of the planning stage there. Like, it's hot out there. I'm in Georgia. There's bugs and snakes and alligators, snakes and scorpions and snakes. Did I mention the snakes?
It's not the reptiles, it's the bugs that bother me down here. I just can't accept the amount of insects this place has.
Bro, I'm just far enough south to make it a little bit of a different proposition of you know, up yonder, you're about 150 meters higher on sea level than I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down in what's referred to as the eastern cloud forest. We got buku frogs and way more insects than they can eat. We got spiders as big as baseballs down here.
Well, where I am, I'm on the side of a mountain too, so I'm a little higher up. But yeah,
that's exactly the difference I'm talking about. Is that's about a 20% humidity difference on any particular day of the week. So here we deal with such high humidity; it can be 20 degrees, and you'll be wet against your skin, not because you're sweating and not because you're hot, but because there's so much moisture in the air. You're just wet. I see
Yeah.
I grew mushrooms in my eyebrows.
When I was in Louisiana, it was like that.
Yeah, that's
No
the
matter
kind
what-
of shit I'm talking about.
Yeah. Because you wake up in the morning, you take your shower, you go outside, and you're fresh and everything else. But about 5 minutes into your walk, you're drenched. You walk around with a shine on you all day long.
We call it glistening.
Yeah, you're glistening.
Ladies don't sweat; they glisten.
Moist.
Right?
I can't
Hey, I
imagine.
got something to show y'all. You want to see something cool? Let me see if I can find him. Yeah, guess who's live?
The more greenish.
Bam. This is my boy. That's an abstract look, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
Yeah. And he is live right this moment, but I'm not going to stream snipe him. So let's back up 7 minutes. Basically, he paints things. I bought one of his original paintings. In fact, the very first painting that he made live on YouTube, I bought. He's
that's
done
cool.
art for actually it's kind of a weird story. I'll tell you in the after dark, the after dark. He painted this, did it live, lost the live of it, so he had to edit it and put it back up as a like time lapse kind of thing, because it's like 9 hours long or something, and he edited it down to like 2 hours or something. I can't remember. It's the very first video he uploaded, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I do art too.
But I don't think he's been live probably in 4 months. This is the first time I've seen him.
I
I'm
gotta
getting-
get on this.
YouTubers are. I have actually a couple YouTubers artwork.
all of his whopping 174 subscribers over there. So I'm fixing to shut this whole thing down. I'm going to get his actual live stream link. I'd would really love it if you would do a raid on him. That would really please the Sasquatch in my soul. You know.
Actually, I gotta go. I gotta go, guys. I'll
All right,
I'll
bud.
click.
Much love.
I gotta go. All right, take it easy.
Just throw him a like. I appreciate it. I'm going to give that. Let me pin that one.
Yeah, leave that. I want to check that out. It's called what now? That's his live stream right now.
Yeah, it's shared it's pinned to the top over there. And I will also drop the backstage link for anybody who wants to come in and speak privately. We can do that. And we're going to sit and watch him finish this here painting. And I'm probably going to drink some coffee and talk some wild shit. I might twerk. I don't plan on getting naked, but it's been known to happen. But if you see my face, you know how furry that might be. You know, kind of situation. Smells like Bigfoot's dick. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, there you go.
So you're fairly warned. Join me if you choose. This is how far he's currently gotten. I'm gonna give you a quick. Come on, don't do that to me. I don't like it when you do that. Be correct.
I like that though. That he's might be doing bats.
That is so freaking cool to me, man.
Yeah, I like
that. I got an idea. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this thing. All right. You got anything you want to tell everybody? Tell them who you are, what you do, why you're here.
You know what it is? Like, it was awesome hanging with you tonight. Seriously, though, dude, go show this guy some love because his artwork looks like it's really awesome. And you know, I love art. So,
Absolutely. I got you. All right, let's see if I can make this thing actually happen properly. Nope, that's not right. This way. We're going to do it this way. This is the way we're doing it.
3, 2, 1.
If you're looking for the guilty, you need only look into a mirror.
The communists declared that the real differences among our people constituted the weakest and most vulnerable point in our social fabric.
It's MAGA country.
This is no hoax, ladies and gentlemen. I urge you to run for your lives while you can. We're not making this up just so we can take over the world.
The old dinosaur media isn't dying, it's dead. We are the new media. This is our world now. Lay down and die.
Peace was never an option.
So if we don't step up and win this culture war, then who the fuck will?
Let's wake the fuck up!
We're gonna get naked.
No. I'm locked in here with you.
That's it. You're locked in here with me.
It's what you've been waiting for. Be the one we need.
Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
Let me show you.
Global industrial complex.
Yep. Uniparty.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
The point is to destroy Western civilization from within using Maoist technique. So therefore you have to vote for me.
I don't know. This is probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Hey. Woke is Marxism, evolved to attack the West. Hey!
Stop giving up.
It's only just begun. Now!
Do it! Yes, you can! I'm gonna do what's called a pro gamer move. Just do it!
Are people bitching about that?
Some people.
Of course they are. Oh, fucking A. All right, got it. Yeah, too fucking bad.
All right.
Yeah.
Any far left conspiracies, to be honest with you.
Ain't no single entity going to swoop in and save the day. You are going to be continuously let down if you place all of your hope into one individual. Instead, look inside and look around. We're doing this together.
We all are fighting for the same thing, and we all see the same problem, and it's this.
It's time to stop being an NPC, get off your ass, and join the meme war.
Shame. Shame.
No, I don't like you.
Shame.
If we were in the wild, I would attack you.
I'm sick of it, man. I'm fucking sick of it. I will not do it again.
Thank you. I wonder how many people feel exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Be the beating drum at the head of the growing creative cavalry charge. Be vocal and profound in your passion for projects you enjoy.
No more excuses.
I've seen it. I can't even compute all of it. It's so fantastical. You have not seen nothing. You ain't heard nothing. You ain't smelled nothing like this. I don't have words to tell you.
A new world order.
We are in the beginning of a mass extinction.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make. Hey, wait a minute.
Now keep in mind, Operation Human Shield will suffer heavy loss.
About it. You control population, you destroy the family, and then you you sow division. I mean, this is.
You don't need a destination when you're running on an omnidirectional treadmill.
We don't have enough time. There's too much CO2.
Are we ready for a new world order?
You'll never defeat the human spirit. You'll never defeat God. You'll never win.
Pray that he is watching. Against all the evil that hell can conjure, all the wickedness that mankind can produce, we will send unto them only you.